this is your captain speaking.
Hi. Yesterday I posted a jam with my eurorack system and Roland JX3P and the analog solutions Leipzig. I really liked the sound and the groove of that jam, and I asked on my Discord whether it would be a good idea to make a video about the techniques used there, like a jam or patch breakdown. And at least 2 people responded with a yes. So here I am. Please bear with me for this video. I will be using this gimbal device, which is now standing in front of me on the table. So this will make it easier for me to shoot a handheld video without being too shaky. Well, at least that's what I hope. The main thing I'm concerned about is whether my camera will be able to focus. I will be using my second camera, which is here. A small video inset should pop up here somewhere, and I'm guessing this will mostly show my stumbling around in this quite confined space. And by the way, welcome in my new studio. Let's first have a short listen to the patch that I'm talking about, and then we'll have a closer look at the modular and the other synths. So I guess we are recording. So this is the device that I'm using to make the video with. I got it as, well, not really payment, but, well, as a token of gratitude from someone that I did some work for. And by the way, I've been, well, very ill last week. I don't know if it's the flu or a late onset COVID-19. But if I do happen to have some schmutz on my face, please tell me so I don't record a whole video with a giant blob of snot hanging from my nose. So let's turn this thing around. Let's start the patch. So with one press of Pamela's new workout, everything is going. As you can see, well, I hope that you can see this sequencer on the Leipzig. It's running along nicely. There's a connection on the back that lets you plug in, well, just a clock signal really. And then there's the JX3P, which also works by sending in a clock to the back. I just have to manually reset it. I realize this is a little bit dark, but I guess that's not the main focus of the patch. Let me mute this lot here. So you all saw me, well, I'm not sure if it was visible at all, but I was tweaking well, the amount of envelope that's modulating the filter. There's also a little bit of modulation from the sequencer going to the cutoff. Other than that, it's just, well, a sequence that I manually set to being in key. I really love this synthesizer. It sounds amazing. Then there's the JX3P. There's not an awful lot that I am going to tell about this. I just was tweaking it using this external controller. Anyway, so As you probably realized by now, I'm working with this giant Allen & Heath GL2200 console, and I use it to route all my sounds through and to perform and record those jams. First of all, this is just the kick drum on a separate channel. I'm using Mandrake by Maelstrom Audio for this. Then there's the snare. The snare is just, well, I have to readjust this thing like all the time. I'm sure at some point this will become natural if I do it enough, like Brady said. The snare is some pink noise. I like to use pink noise through a bandpass filter for snares. So it's the pink noise going through a ripples clone here. I'm using the bandpass output. It's going through delta V, which I'm using as a VCA and envelope combo. And this just receives a trigger from Pamela's new workout that has like this. I made this preset where there's already a pattern for a kick drum and a pattern ready for a snare. It's just basic 4 to the floor stuff, but usually that gets well, the groove going, and sometimes it's just enough. Then there's this little subtle hi-hat pattern. This is white noise from the same Maleco noise module. It's going through the bandpass output of the discrete SVVCF by Manhattan Analog. And from there it's going through another side of the delta V. If I unmute the snare, you can make sense of it. So the snare is the orange channel, the hi-hat is the blue channel. Now I'm modulating the decay parameter on this envelope, which is always something that I like doing for hi-hats. And the module that I'm modulating this with is Orbit 3. Well, easily one of my favorite modulation sources. I've attenuated one of the outputs through a mix mode. It's just an attenuator. And then it's going into the decay modulation input of the envelope generator of delta V. So let's mute that. Then there's this sound. This sound is actually a twin waves here. Which is routed through another filter by Manhattan Analog, the MA35. And during the jam I was, well, manually opening the cutoff a little bit and adjusting the modulation of the filter, which is receiving a signal from Mats, an envelope from Mats. And this is being triggered by, well, what was it? Just, well, a random gate from Pamela's new workout. The melody for this sound is coming from step 8, which is not routed through a quantizer because the twin waves has built-in, well, it has built-in scales. So that's easy if you run out of quantizers or quantized sequencers. If you want to hear this without the effects, it sounds like this. But of course, everything sounds better with a little bit of delay and reverb. The delay that I'm using is this Lexicon MPX 500. Just a tempo delay preset that I manually tapped to be in the same tempo as, well, the patch, which is 92 BPM. And then there's, well, the reverb. Let's crank it up to extremes. Well, just by itself, this sounds nice. The reverb that I'm using is, of course, you probably already saw it, the Elysis Quadraverb, and it's on, well, some kind of cathedral preset or something. Then there's another RP kind of thing. So this is channel 2. So the sound source for this sound is Generate 3, this one. There's some self-patched phase modulation coming from the core output. It's running through the right part of this delta V. And the left part of this delta V is used as a VCA for the Generate 3. Well, in fact, it's not. It's just also sending out an envelope, the blue one, that I'm using to send to the fundamental input on Generate 3, which in itself acts as a VCA. And you can link these channels on these delta Vs, which is very straightforward. Now the reason this is going slower is because I cranked up the attack on the left envelope. And delta V does not restart its cycle whenever it's still in the attack phase and it receives another trigger or gate. So the right envelope is modulating the amount of phase modulation. But when I crank it up, it sounds like this. And I didn't really realize it at the time of recording the video, but when I was mixing the track, it struck me how much this sound resembled an, a flute. Delta V is being triggered by a clock, again coming from Pamela's new workout. I'm also clocking a syncable LFO here. I'm using the dual LFO by Soundforce. And the right output here is on like the saw or the ramp wave. I'm using an attenuated version of the unipolar output here through a quantizer set to, well, a part of the minor scale. And I'm using that output as a volt per octave signal for this Generate 3. The first channel of dual LFO here is set to sample and hold. And it's also running slower. And this one is doing some transposition of the sequence. Then if I also bring in the delay, which was still off, this sounds like that. And there's one more interesting sound left, like they say, last but not least. I'm using Moskwa 2 to sequence this. It's set to 3 steps. And that's probably the least important thing about that sound. And I'm using Melodic repetitor here to send a trigger to the plug input of delay 1. Let's crank up the feedback so we can hear it a little bit better. I'm modulating the feedback with an output of orbit 3. I'm also modulating the time parameter with a generate 3. This gives us some vibrato. And this sound, I'm using the positive delay output here. This sound is routed through Costalin by Chaos Devices, which is a stereo frequency shifter. And I'm also modulating 2 of its parameters with outputs of orbit 3 to get this to move around a bit. There's no envelopes going on for this particular sound because, well, by plugging delay 1 you get a sound that already dies out, so there's no need for envelopes if you don't want to use any. And I mean, of course, envelopes and VCAs. So I'm using the downwards shifted output for the left signal and the upward shifted output for the right signal, and this gives us this, well, sound that's moving around a bit. Let's unmute the drums. Let's bring in Leipzig. And the Jakes 3P. And the other sounds here. Anyway, this is it for this clunky, stumbly video about the patch that I uploaded a while ago, or maybe it was yesterday. I made the patch yesterday. I'm not sure how this will fit into my releasing schedule on YouTube yet. The track is called Fair Warning. I might make an album with a few of those jams. I already uploaded another jam like that called Forget the Rain, which is on YouTube as well, or it might be soon. Again, I'm not sure about the releasing schedule. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.